Good morning, YouTube America. I was recently going through some of my mail, and I got a comment from a fellow named Wayne. Uh, we've been discussing about the benefits and the nostalgia of 2E versus the current generation of whatever's for Dungeons and Dragons. Um, I agreed with him with that one of the advantages or one of the desired bonuses of the second edition or the AD&D set of rules and its long, lengthy run supreme is or was the abundance of novels and back settings for those who wanted to play in those worlds. Forgotten Realms being the biggest, of course. Uh, you could go home after a game, as Wayne said, and pick up a book, read about it, immerse yourself in the same environment, the same setting, the same kind of mechanics, and know what's going on, and be content on having somewhat of an insight in the world that's going on the pages. From a GM and a player's perspective, it allows you to gain a lot of background material at no expense to your own. You don't have to imagine or reimagine the wheel. You don't have to come up with stuff. It's a lot like the convenience of McDonald's, if you will. No matter where you go in the world, you can guarantee that McDonald's is going to be selling fries and a Big Mac. They may sell a lot of other stuff you've never seen or heard of and are afraid to touch or put past your tongue, but Big Mac's going to be a Big Mac, even if they have to import it from the States. Well, the concept was the same there with the Forgotten Realms novels and stuff. You could have campaigns and settings in the exact same locations that some of the characters in the books did. You just, as a GM, you just change the who's doing what. Uh, One of the things that I've done over the years is like I've said before in other V blogs, I have the entire second edition set of core books and source books and just about every one I can think of. Although I will acknowledge that every now and then somebody crops up with a book I ain't never heard of or never seen before. And it's not to say that they don't belong in the 2E canon. I'm just saying it's rare that I don't have that book. Uh, I was spending a lot of money at the local game store every paycheck, back in the 80s and the early 90s, say easily $50 a week. So I accumulated quite a bit. Though you wouldn't know it by my mobile abode here. There's no room for the bookcases and all the fancy displays that some of these other bloggers, game bloggers or GM bloggers, have the advantages of. That doesn't mean I don't have them. I've showed the boxes before in a few other earlier videos, but I'm working on maybe getting up a temporary little studio, if you will. The weather's coming; it's going to get nasty. I'm still going to be in this car probably till next summer. Yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, well, I've always loved the second edition set of rules. Uh, Now, yes, I'll agree that there's been advantages of the newer versions, and they've streamlined things. They've cleared out some double down stuff and some weak, questionable rules. But at the same time, they've lost some stuff. There's a lot of material advantages to the original AD&D version, 2E version. The sheer volume of world building materials and background and character development, it's all there. And most of your upper newer versions, the 3.5 versions where they were big on the feats, well, the feats were there all along in 2E. They were just spread out over different source books. We had individual source books based on character development, the rangers, the dwarves, racial development, the rangers, the dwarves, the elves, the priests, the monks, etc., etc. Got all those. Got them all. Read them numerous times. Made use of quite a few of them. It's one of the advantages of having an abundance of rules. It's like being if you want to be a rules doctor, you've now got yourself a library of rules to play with. From the game master perspective, having a variety of options is what that gives you. None of the newer versions have managed to surpass AD&D or 2E, if you will, of all of its extra sets of rules. They covered everything. And if it wasn't in there, you could find it in Dragon or Dungeon Magazine, and eventually it would make its way into 2E's rules somewhere. So the odds are pretty good. If there's questions about it, you'll find it someplace in the system. What I like to do, and I still do when the opportunity allows me to, gaming wise, certain situation prevents me from having a group, having a regular gaming routine. My job allows for almost no routine whatsoever. This is why I blog so much, I guess. It's something to keep connected with the gaming world. The My preference was and is to take the 2E rules and utilize the source material in them as often as possible whenever I needed it. I just adapted it or kit bashed it, if you will, to fit into the newer version of the rules. And I absolutely will not play 4.0. The 5.0, no, sorry. I have not yet bought it, but an associate of mine did. It was one of the systems we played for a couple of years, and while I was in prison. Yeah, that's right, folks. I was in prison. People make mistakes. Yeah, I don't recommend them. I don't. Anyhow, and yes, there are gamers in prison, and we do play games in prison. D&D, Star Wars, a number of what was it? Not Magic. Well, we did. There was some Magic the Gathering going. Vampire the Masquerade. There was also let's see, Werewolf Armageddon and some version of The Walking Dead from White Wolf. Don't remember the name of it off the top of the head. I wasn't a big White Wolf guy because it's like Fords and Chevys or apples and oranges. You only afford certain things. I went with certain stuff. Other stuff, there was lots of interesting game systems, but I just couldn't afford to buy everything. So I bought what I wanted, and I bought quite a lot. So if you could afford all of everything that came out, you're a much wealthier man than most of us. And there's a few of you who have. I'm impressed. Good for you. Good for you. You're whatever. Anyway, now this going about the 2E. You can take 2E and use the mechanics in it. It's very easy to bridge the gap between that and the newer versions, if you will. The 2D stuff is actually, which I find a bit amusing when everybody squawks about the advantages of 2D, the D20, excuse me, the 220, the D20, whatever the heck. The fact of the matter is the D20 system existed even back then. D20 was we used 20-sided dice all the time. That's what they were for. They've been using those since the 80s. The 3 6-sided dice, we only applied that when we were rolling for stats. Everything else was with a D20 or a D8 or D10, D4, whatever was appropriate for the particular roll. So we used a lot of D20. That's the fallacy there, folks. That's the fallacy. The D20 only comes in a very rare difference when you're using the older set of rules. Now, a lot of people go, oh my God, why could you say things like that? And well, it's the truth. Truth sucks. Truth all gets you in prison. Keep that in mind. Nobody wants to hear the truth. Lie through your teeth. Make sure you're good at it, or get a damn good lawyer who can lie for you. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that yes, there's a lot of adjustments that would need to be made, but they're actually very small. And when it comes to the developing side, I want to build the world that my players are going to play in. I can use 2E stuff all day long. It's not going to matter. It's not going to make a difference. Unless you're really detail oriented, it's not going to make a difference in that. I think it's a good system, and oddly enough, I imagine you can pick it up pretty cheap these days. There's a lot of it out there floating around since somebody wants to empty their shelves and say, "Oh, I don't want that no more. I don't play it no more." Or you can get PDF versions of it, downloads for free or something. I imagine. I don't know. I like this stuff. It's good stuff. I get a lot of mileage out of it, and still will, I imagine. I still got another 20, 30 good years ahead of me. And somebody else might inherit or end up picking all of my stuff up for a song at the local Goodwill when I'm gone. Assuming I have a place to keep it. Oh yeah, the 2E stuff. There's some advantages there that you can't find in the newer stuff. I won't go into great details on that because that's for other blogs, I guess, as these things are called. Uh, Gee, you know, why why make all of such a fuss about the differences? Uh, I think there's some advantages in all of them. Some of them are streamlined for quicker play or faster play. I think to me the 5.0, the newest version, to me, unless it's the one that just recently really came out like this last year that I'm not aware of, the one that I'm thinking of, to me it played more like a card game, or it was a tabletop in need of a card game. All the way it was set up, where you had limited uses of your feats and your special skills and sewings and so forth, you could easily have a card in front of you like a Magic the Gathering and deploy it and then flip it over. And I almost expected to see those, and they may actually be out there for all I know. I have not been into a gaming convention or a game shop itself for 14 or 15 years. I keep meaning to get out there, but I've only been out for a short period of time. So, eventually. But I can't afford to buy all the stuff that's on the shelves, so kind of like going and shopping for food you can't buy. You're just better off looking around the dumpster behind the store. Save yourself the heartache. You know, it is what it is. We're working from the ground up and slowly filling in the big hole that I dug for myself and my family. Hey, at least they can afford a nice, wonderful, extremely overpriced QT coffee. Hmm? And I can work at this wonderful job that can't quite decide whether or not 9 a.m. is 9 p.m. It's why I'm here, dressed up in my monkey suit, getting ready to go do somebody's nasty, greasy hood at some restaurant, because that's what this company mostly does, although that's not what I got hired to do. I got hired to do driving, and here I am going in with a crew to clean the hoods over the kitchen, in a kitchen over a pizza oven or something in some restaurant that we tried to do a couple nights ago. And today they want to do it at 9:30 in the morning, even though our schedule said 9:30 at night. So, Chairman, work with me here. You know, we all got to do. Where's Micro when you need him? We got to do what we got to do. It's not pretty. Just like using the rules, you got to use the 2E rules. If you have them, use them. Don't be bashful. Don't be shy. If you enjoy using them, make them work. It's not that rough. You can do it. And in actuality, your campaign might be better for it, because, as I said, the 4.0, the 5.0, they severely lack a lot of open creativity, the ability to modify and to adjust your characters or your critters or your monsters as quickly or as easily as you'd like. They narrow them down. I think it's just like the reduction in the skills. They've refined the skills, or if you will, they've given you fewer of them to worry about and lump more of them into categories, and then you just roll for the category. Well, there's some advantages to that. It's less paperwork to keep track of from a GM standpoint, and as a player, because when I play under under the old rules, I do utilize my skill sets more often. I think I'll discuss some of that in some future vlogs coming up. Maybe somebody will see them. Maybe you won't. It's all good. But there's advantages for using skills in appropriate places, and as a GM, knowing when to apply bonus experience for using them, because anything your characters do in the game world gains experience. The question is it worthy enough of the points to go with it, or is it just mundane stuff? If they're trying to tie a knot in their shoes, then obviously we don't make a roll for tying a knot or using rope. On the other hand, if you tying the knot in a rope that's potentially going to keep the roof from coming down on your friend, or is going to make sure your only team of horses doesn't go galloping off into the woods while you guys are bebopping down under some dungeon somewhere, making a good roll is kind of a good idea. A lot of times, as a GM, I've made players make rolls for skills, and I never told them why. You know, And so, in one that the horse thing is an example of that. I'll say, so you're going to secure your horses, and I said, all right. So who's doing that? Oh, you are. All right. So make a rope check. See how that plays out. And well, I rolled with that. So what happened? You tied a knot. Well, it's tied a knot in a rope. Good for you. And then, the next session they come back and they come back out of the dungeon with their loot, and three of the four of their horses have gone. And they're like, where are horses go? And they start looking for the footprints and the signs of goblin or whatever. And I point out, well, you have one live horse. If the goblins came, they'd either killed it or taken it too. Cutting a rope is well within their intelligent capability. And then, so the wise guy will start looking around and go, hey, where was the evidence to cut rope? I said, and say the ropes were cut. I said that if they had come, well, there's no signs of cut rope. There's no signs of wear beyond the typical wear that horses will do when they get agitated and bored for being here for 2 days. Especially if it goes longer than that, and you haven't made arrangements to feed and water them. Important to water your animals, my friends, because they are living beings. They don't exist indefinitely in some state of stasis and limbo while you're off bebapping around the drow underworld for 6 weeks. Come back and expect to find them dead or gone. It's just is the nature of the beast. But that's a prime example of using skills creatively. And in that case, it also led to using 20 or 30 minutes of game time, which I allotted some experience to everybody because, hey, it was a little mini adventure to figure out what happened to the three horses, and can we track them down? Well, they were able to track two of them down, if I remember right. The third one got eaten by a bear or something, which is another thing, we'll talk about in some other future vlog, is using the wildlife encounters more appropriately. I've seen too many people ignore those or blow them off as, oh, you saw a squirrel. Well, even a squirrel in the right situation can be either amusing or annoying and frustrating, and be valuable and useful for both the opportunity to employ your skills other than hack, slash, and bash and toast, and to gain experience. On that note, folks, we'll leave you to your good day, and thank you for watching. Can we stop or not? See, this thing's driving me crazy. We will learn this thing and get it